Bill Acker is a cataloguer and auctioneer for PBA Galleries and specializes in literature, poetry, the beats, and counterculture. He's been with the firm for 9 years, spent most of his working life prior to PBA at independent book and record stores. He's a lifelong lover and collector of books and a writer as well, with a number of volumes of poetry published with various independent presses and a collection of short fiction. Welcome, Bill, to the Bibliophile.
Thank you for having me, Nigel. It's very good to be here.
So give me a little background on PBA Galleries.
Sure. Well, they've been around in one form or another since 1955, I believe. They started off as California Book Auction Galleries in San Francisco. They were around in that form for about 35 years. The original owner, Mr. Powers, passed away, and his heirs, they put the company into voluntary bankruptcy when he passed away. Butterfield's Auction House acquired the name, but not the people from the original house. They went on to found Pacific Book Auction Galleries in 1992. One of those core members is still with us now as our senior vice president, Bruce McMakin. So we've been around as Pacific Book Auction Galleries in San Francisco since 1992. In 2001, we officially changed our name to PBA Galleries to kind of more reflect the global presence in the marketplace. So it's not just associated with California at the Pacific. Now it's just PBA. And we moved to our permanent home in Berkeley in 2019. So now we're in Berkeley.
Okay, and can you describe exactly what the company does?
Sure. We started off mainly just books and ephemera, meaning, historical documents, letters, anything along those lines related to books. In recent years, we've branched out. We have an art section now. We do fine art. We have Ivan Briggs now with us. He does comic books and fine pins. But basically what we do, if you have what you think is a rare or unique or expensive book you might want to sell, you contact us. You'll consign it to us. We will catalog it, put it in our catalog, and put it up for auction at one of our sales. And hopefully it will do well and make money for everyone.
You have themed sales.
Yeah, exactly. For a long time, we definitely specialize. We've been known to specialize in Americana, Western Americana, California, American world history, cartography. I myself am now as you mentioned, I specialize in literature, poetry, more recently the beats and the counterculture and art as well. So yeah, now we've had our catalogs kind of become more specialized than we used to be.
Yeah.
And which is working out very well for us. It's kind of fun. It gives us more freedom to myself to kind of more have a hand in curating the literature themed auctions and such. So that's fun for me.
Okay, so let's look at a very specific case.
Sure.
About 6-8 months ago, I decided that I was going to part with one of my prized possessions. It's a first edition. I would say it was in very good plus condition, both and the book. And what I decided, I've got about 100 odd books up on biblio.com.
Right.
Some of my stuff that I want to see if I can move. So that's the route that I decided to take. So I'm not going to tell you what price I asked for it yet because I want to get your rough take on what might have transpired if I'd have done it your way.
Sure.
So put it up online, and within about 12 hours, not even, I got a bite. It was from another dealer. So I automatically gave them a 20% discount and sold it to them. The whole thing took like 24 hours.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
How fast it was.
You must have priced it well.
Well, maybe not so well. So anyway, let's. I know this is maybe putting you on the spot a bit, but if I had taken this route with PBA, contacted you or the company, and I'd said, I have a first edition in very good plus condition of Brave New World, the
Right.
British, of course. Can you take it up from there? What would have happened?
Well, we would have looked at it as far as our commission, start off that. We take a straight 17% of the hammer price, which is the final bid when the hammer goes down. So say the book sold for $1,000 at auction when the hammer goes down.
Can we get more precise on what you think? Can you give me just a rough eyeball what you think it might be worth?
What was the book one more time? I'm sorry.
No problem. It was Brave New World, the Shadow and Windus, 1932, first edition, in very good plus condition.
And let me just do a quick little bit of research here.
So this is what you would have done if
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah.
Just gonna see if we've sold one anytime recently and what we got for it.
So that's the first thing you do is you look through your own records, right?
Yeah. Say someone has a book. First thing we'll do is see if we have a sales history with it and see, what we've sold it for recently. Right. After that, we can look up auction records of other auction houses online. Say, oh, so-and-so sold it for this much 6 months ago or last year. And so we definitely take that into account when we put an estimate on a book. And then also we look and see what else is currently out there.
What do you mean by that?
Look online as, eBay, ABE books, Via Libre online, and see what other dealers are currently trying to sell them for. So that kind of combination of things kind of goes into our research as far as what we think would be a fair estimate and reserve. All right, let's see what we got here. I have a kind of a spastic cat here with me too.
Yeah, I noticed that. My cat's asleep just about 8 feet away from us. So.
Right. All right. Well, here's probably a comparable copy of yours. We sold one a while back. Both the book and jacket were in very good condition. The jacket had, some small tears and some chipping, but overall, it was a very good copy of the book. Our hammer price on that was $1,400. And we've definitely sold some for less.
Now, again, that's first edition.
Mm-hmm.
That's the British first edition in press jacket.
Yeah, Shadow and Windus, 1932, the first trade edition. Yeah.
Okay, so then what do you do? What do you do?
Okay, we would, as I said, we would do the research to come across what we think would be a good estimate and a reserve. In this case, we estimated it $1,000 to $1,500. And how we work our reserves, basically the price that it will open at auction, is half of our low estimate. So if we estimated something at $1,000 to $1,500, the reserve, we'd start it off at $500. That's where the bidding would begin. And then it would just kind of go from there.
Okay. You'd want to see the actual physical book.
Oh, yes. Basically, we do have to have the books in hand for cataloging. Right. And also we have an in-house photographer, so we do the photographs for the book for the catalog as well. So yes, you do have to either bring the items to us or ship them to us or get them to us somehow for us to catalog them.
So do you give out an estimate right off the top and say, I think this is what it's worth? If you want to proceed, then send us the book.
Yeah, that is generally how it goes. If someone has like a single book, we'll do a little research and say, this is what we think would be a fair estimate and reserve. Send it our way if that works for you. Sometimes people will have a lot of books or something we need to do more research on. So they'll send the stuff to us and we will do the research and then let them know what we think would work best.
Okay. So I ship my book off to you. You do the camera work and you put it in a catalog. What do you mean by catalog?
Well, we have auctions every 2 weeks, generally, every other Thursday.
Okay.
We still do print catalogs, which now they're kind of just more collectible items since most everyone bids and looks at our online catalogs. But basically, you just go to our website, PBA Galleries. Catalogs for each sale go up online, generally about 2 weeks before the sale. catalogs with all the descriptions and all the photographs of all the items going up for in a particular auction will be available to look at online 2 weeks prior. You
Okay.
can start bidding early online if you like, but then when the actual auction happens, there will be live bidding as well.
I see. Okay. So each sale that you have, it's up online for 2 weeks, and there's a period of sort of where people can put in a bid, and then there's a live bid. How long does the live bid last for?
Well, basically, as long as it takes to sell all the items in that particular sale. Our auctions, they range from about, these days, about 300 lots to 500 lots per auction, which it takes us about maybe an hour to get through 100 lots or so. So the auctions can be kind of lengthy. If it's like 500 lots, we'll be there for 5 hours auctioning them off.
So you have to keep an eye and then wait for your lot to come off, or?
Yeah, exactly. The lots are numbered, 1 through 500. Say there's something you want to bid on, lot 37, Again, you can bid in advance, but if you want to watch live to make sure no one outbids you, you can watch the auctions online, listen to them online, and bid online as the auction is happening. You can also call in. We still take phone bids as the auction's happening. So you just monitor the sale, and when your lot comes up, you jump in.
You said listen. Is it actually someone's voice?
Oh yeah, we actually have old school real auctions. I auctioneer and along with our fellow catalogers. Before the virus, not as many, but we would still have people come in physically for the auctions. We'd have people in the room, and they would also bid live. And but yeah, we actually auction each item live.
So I would go to your website and I could listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I'd say lot 37. We have a first edition of Brave New World. Do I have $500? We're looking for $500. Yeah, we still old school auction.
Okay. That's really interesting. And then you bring down the hammer after each lot.
Exactly. We'll have, say, the bidding kind of tapers off. $600. Is any advance from 600? Any advance? Last call at 600. If no further advance, boom, sold at $600.
Okay. So my copy of Brave New World gets a 2-week window. What do you do with that catalog? You just put it up on your website, or do you push it out to a bunch of people, or what do you do?
Well, yeah, it's up on our website, but yeah, again, like we've been around for a number of years, so we have a built-in audience. So people, look to our auctions every few weeks to see what we have going on. There are also websites that people use. One is called Live Auctioneers, another is called Invaluable. So people who like to buy things through auctions, they'll go to these third-party websites and search for things, and our auctions will show up on those websites if we have the kind of things they're looking for. So yeah, through our own website, through other auction websites, we still send out print catalogs to people who are interested. So yeah, we have a network of people who've been buying and selling with us for many years. So we definitely get the news out there. And also trade papers, antique magazines, auction magazines. They'll have little articles about upcoming sales and such. So we get promoted that way as well.
How do you do a print catalog if you've only got a short little window like that?
We work quick. We have an in-house photographer. Basically, the way it goes, like all the lots for a particular sale will be cataloged by the catalogers with the descriptions and such. Once they're cataloged, they go to the photographer, take some pictures, and then we put the catalog together and send it out to the printers. Yeah, it's a pretty fast-paced business, but we enjoy it. But yeah, we get those print catalogs out every 2 weeks.
What do you do? Mail them out to people who subscribe to them, or?
Yeah, basically. Again, before the internet, that's how people would prepare for the auction. We'd send out, the print catalog, and people would go through the print catalog and decide what they'd want to bid on. But now that everything is on the internet, the print catalogs are almost more kind of collectible, fun items. But yeah, people who subscribe to them, they'll go to the consigners as well. If someone consigned a really nice book with us, they'll want to have a copy of the catalog that it was in.
Okay. Are there a lot of booksellers that subscribe to it?
Yeah, well, as you say, you mentioned that a dealer bought your book. Many of the people that consign books to us and buy from us are other dealers. That's probably the large, they buy it from us with the hopes that they can hang on to it a bit and sell it to someone else for more. Also, we have, a
Yeah.
lot of private collectors that buy from us as well, and occasionally institutions as far as university libraries, if we have a collection of letters or ephemera that's very interesting to them, we'll get institutions bidding as well.
Yeah, this is a bit of a double-edged sword here because I'll divulge how much I got from it. I can say that it was significantly more than what you have
Okay.
quoted multiple times more. But on the flip side, that's a really good price for a really important book.
Right. Well, again, and that was, well, now it's funny now that you say that, I just see a more recent copy that we sold. That other one was from some years ago. We sold one that went for 6,000.
That's more like it.
Right. I'm not sure. Again, it's interesting how such things fluctuate. With auctions, like a book is worth kind of exactly how much someone is willing to pay for it right at that moment, kind of thing,
Yeah.
So it kind of
Yeah.
depends who's watching, who wants a copy like right now. So it can
Right.
fluctuate a bit. But yeah, now it looks like our last copy,
That's more than a bit.
6,000. Yeah, exactly.
That's a huge
And
amount. That's
this one was a slightly nicer copy.
that's
That's
four
very
times.
good. No, it's interesting how it can really range. But yeah, so this copy, our most recent one we sold, that went for 6,000. So that is a big difference.
And what date was that?
This was, let me see what sale this was. Oh, so this is just in March of last year, March 2021. And that was our one that sold for 6,000. That was our last copy that we sold.
A lot of that obviously has to do with condition.
Yes, condition is the main thing, especially with modern firsts like that. The condition of the dust jacket is a big.
So I can tell you now, because I didn't want to embarrass you, but I can tell you now that I think I put 5,500 on it.
Okay.
But I had to pay that because it was up right away by a dealer. What this does, though, is it emphasizes exactly what you've just said, which is, and probably one of the best reasons to check out online auctions is you can find really good deals.
You can,
yeah, because people are wanting to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of it, because it's a little different every time. You try to put a reserve, an opening bid that doesn't totally undersell, the piece, but it will get enough bidders interested in it that you'll have people bidding. They'll start fighting over it because no one likes to lose, And so once you have 2 or 3 people bidding,
right,
sometimes it can get a really good price because, you'll start off in the auction. Okay, well, I'm not going to spend more than $1,000. But then when you're bidding against someone else and you reach that point of 1,000, you're all, oh, okay, 1,100, and
it's worth the extra $300, $400, $500, $600, $700.
Exactly. So that's when it's fun. That's when the auction process really kicks in, when you have people bidding against each other, and it's fun to see how much something is going to sell for.
Now, what about books in general? Have you found the prices over your 9-year period of employment there, or whatever period you've actually been?
Right.
What have prices done?
Overall, I think things have been going up a bit. Overall, right. As far as, certain things, especially like, with what I deal with in literature, certain authors, certain books will come in and out of favor. So individually, things will go up and down.
Like what, for example? Like what specific authors have been hot in the last 5 years?
Well, again, for us, and for me in particular, we're really big on Charles Bukowski. He just continually you have rare Charles Bukowski stuff, send it to PBA because we'll get a good price on it. He's one of those kind of everyman writers where younger people continue to get into him and get excited about him. Younger collectors are still into him. And so he's just, when we get rare stuff, letters, typescript poems, do very well for us, original art. And some of the beats in general, Kerouac's still doing well for us. But then again, other people who used to do pretty well, say someone like Henry Miller, he's kind of going out of fashion these days. So it's up and down with particular authors, particular pieces, but overall book sales in general have been doing very well as far as collectible books. Especially we noticed that during the pandemic. I think people were at home and kind of bored and had money to spend. And so, so no, overall in the rare book world, collectible books, prices have been very, very good.
Okay. Now, for me to participate in one of these sales, what do I have to do?
Basically, you just go to our website, or you could give us a call and give your basic information, and we sign you up to bid.
So it's very straightforward. You need my credit card probably, right?
Yeah, we do take a credit card number. We don't charge anything to the credit card without your permission. They put one on file when you sign up to bid, I believe.
And then you obviously get to choose how you want to pay. Do you accept credit card payment or not?
Oh yeah, we accept any way you want to pay if it's legal tender.
And then 17%, what else does the person that provides you with the book have to pay?
That is it, just the straight 17%, other than shipping. If they ship the book to us, so if there are costs involved in getting it to us, they have to cover that. But other than that, it's just the 17%. No extra fees for photography or cataloging or anything like that.
So I pay a bit more, roughly the same thing in a commission. Why wouldn't I just put it on eBay?
I would think just because we have a built-in audience, people come to look for us for certain things. We're known for literature, Americana, art now. And so we have that kind of built-in audience. And since we've been around in one form or another since 1955, people trust us. If we say this book is in very good condition, people are, going to be confident that it's in very good condition or in fine condition. And they'll be confident that they can, if they do have an issue with it, they can return it. With eBay, and I've had this issue myself, eBay and Amazon, I'll buy a used book. Oh, that's a great deal. And, they're sold by people who are inexperienced or who aren't honest. And I'll buy a book that sounds like it's a good deal, and I'll get it, and it'll be like an ex-library copy. And, they didn't mention that, or that little stain on the dust jacket they said was actually a big stain. And, so we're very accurate and fair in describing our books. So, what you buy from us, that's what you're going to get,
Right.
And if you're unhappy with it, you can return it. But we've been in the business for a long time, so we're pretty fair and accurate with our descriptions.
What else? Is there anything else that I have to be aware of selling my books through you?
Yeah, we just have the straight 17%. We do have the buyer's premium, which is, it doesn't affect your commission, but we charge a 20 to 25% buyer's premium to the buyer of a book on top of the hammer price. So if they pay $1,000 for something on the hammer price, their actual costs would be $1,200 or $1,250. So that doesn't affect the seller at all. We just would take the straight 17% from the hammer price.
You, in effect, make 37%.
Exactly.
So business has been going up?
Yes, yeah. It's been doing very well for us. Well, with books as objects, as collectible items, I think that's a market that's always going to be there. As far as, people say, oh, well, people don't read books anymore. They just look online. But people don't collect first editions of Moby Dick in a fine binding to read it. They buy it to have it on their shelves, to own it, or maybe to sell it to someone else. But so it's not about whether people still read these books necessarily, as whether they're desirable as collectible items, and that seems to be going very strong.
The thing is, I take more of a risk by selling it through you, because if the reserve is 50% of what I want, and I didn't even want to take, really take a cut of 20% when I did sell it through the market, That's quite a bigger risk, isn't it?
It's kind of a dance. It can be a risk because it is always possible that something will sell at the reserve. That's not the ideal, but it can happen. So yeah, it's kind of a dance with putting the reserve at a place that will attract bidders, which will hopefully, bring up the eventual hammer price. But if you put the reserve too high, then bidders will just say, well, I'm not going to bother with that. I can just buy it online for that price, So yeah, it is trying to find that sweet spot. That is definitely a big part of the process, is finding the right reserve for each item. If it's an item that is very desirable, that is going to sell, we can be more liberal with the reserve, put it at a higher place.
Well, let's take my example. Like, I did my research. I figure putting it at 5,500, that was a very good price given what I had. There's no way I want to take less than 20% less than that. How do you deal with me then saying that to you?
Right. We'd look at our sales, okay, well, we just sold this other copy comparable to yours for 6,000. So we could, it depends upon the item. And if it is something very desirable, we can definitely be more liberal with the reserve. And okay, we'll put a reserve up there because it's probably going to sell for that amount, So
Okay.
It is a case-by-case basis. Half of the low estimate for our reserve is our house standard, and that tends to work for most items. But we work with consigners. If they say, I don't want to sell it for less than this, and if that seems reasonable to us, then we'll definitely do that. You have to take chances on some things. If you have a nice item, you don't want to turn it away unless you have to. So so it's a case-by-case basis.
So if I said to you, then there's no way I want to take less than 4,500 for this, would you say, sure, we'll put that reserve in it? But the problem is, of course, that's my bottom line. But then you take additional 17 off that.
Right. Yeah. Again, if it made sense with the research, and something like that, we might take a chance on it and say, okay, let's try that reserve. And, we don't want to do that with too many, like myself, when I curate an auction, everything I put in there, I want to imagine that it has a pretty good chance of selling. Like, if I were a buyer and I saw an item at that reserve, I would go, oh, wow, okay, I'll bid on that. But then as long as I have enough things in the sale that I'm pretty sure will go, you can take chances on some things, okay, well, it's not, if this doesn't sell at that reserve, well, maybe we can try it again in the future at a slightly lower reserve. So yeah, it's a balance of putting things in the sale that you're pretty sure are going to go, and then you can take some chances on some other more interesting items, put some higher reserves on there, and see how that works. So yeah.
What's interesting is that I want the reserve to be higher. You want it to be lower.
Right. Yeah. It's always kind of a back and forth with the consigner. Because as you say, it is a bit of a gamble because you don't know what it's going to sell for.
Unless, as I say, and you've said, like, I know that's an iconic book.
Right. Exactly. And on the other hand, on the flip side of that, sometimes, especially if it's a more rare item, an uncommon item, sometimes the prices that we realize will be a lot higher than what copies are available online at the moment. Because again, like I said, if you get a handful of people bidding on something, it can kind of be like a feeding frenzy of sharks, and no one wants to quit, no one wants to lose. And so,
you want
that's
competing bids on your book.
Right. And so sometimes people will buy a copy of something, for a lot higher than we would estimate it at. It's a gamble.
I mean, if that's in your blood, then this is a great way to go.
Exactly. And again, a lot of people that consign to us are other dealers, and sometimes it's a book they've had in their collection for a long time. They can't sell it at the price that they want to sell it at. So they're ready to put it out there and, see what it does.
Yeah, I would say that if you want to get a good deal, then you look at your catalog and you have a close look at those reserves. And some of them are going to be quite low. Now, of course, you don't know who's going to but that is ideally what you could possibly get it for if no one
Right.
is on it.
Exactly.
So that's why it pays off for the book collector.
Yeah, you hope that the thing that you really want, maybe not that many other people will be interested in at the moment or something.
Right. Well, and again, it's just a question of taking a roll at it, bid the reserve, and then if you don't get it, you don't get it.
And sometimes for the better of the seller, and for us, sometimes their discipline goes out the window once they start bidding.
So you've got a pretty good idea of what book. You mentioned Bukowski. I would think that Kurt Vonnegut's probably pretty popular, is he?
Yeah, Kurt Vonnegut is another guy who's doing very well for us now. One of the names that always, kind of like Bukowski, he doesn't bring in the high numbers that Bukowski does in general, because Bukowski has a lot more kind of rare little early chapbooks that he would do and stuff. Bukowski tends to have a wider selection of kind of hard to find items. Kurt Vonnegut, his novels, his early editions, his signed works, they do very well for us continually, for sure. He's one of those names that's always kind of a sure sell.
What are some of the other sure sells for you?
Other than Bukowski, we're very good with the beats these days. Kerouac, early Ginsberg stuff, nice editions of Howell and such still go very well. Right now, science fiction is doing well. Classic science fiction, like, Dune is kind of in the news.
It has to be with the movie. Right?
Yeah.
I guess that's a big part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we just sold a first edition of Dune and a nice dust jacket in one of our recent sales. I think that went for about 5,000. Yeah, and just kind of the classics, anything that's, just kind of a cornerstone of modern literature. Even going back to the 19th century, Mark Twain still does very well for us. First edition of Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer are always desirable. Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Faulkner, all the Lost Generation, they're kind of always highlights. If you have a nice, Hemingway in a jacket or a Fitzgerald, they're always the highlights of the sale.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit like stock market. What are some of your picks for things that you think will appreciate, or is that just a mugs game?
With a lot of things, it's like supply and demand. How many people want this thing and how many copies of it are out there to be had. But like a good example, say, like the Harry Potter series. Right. First edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the UK version, the Philosopher's Stone, is very desirable because they didn't print a lot of copies because they didn't know it was going to be crazy popular. So something like that, you had no idea if you bought a copy of the first Harry Potter book that it's going to be valuable. It's just another young adult book. And then it so happens that it became something that was very, very valuable. So yeah, you never really know what's going to happen. So I think it is kind of a mugs game to try to predict what's going to.
But that's part of the fun of it too.
Oh, it is part of the fun, and sometimes you get lucky.
I mean, it's got nothing to do with the love of literature. It's
which
gambling.
I kind of bristle at that sometimes as a reader and a writer,
Of course, they just want to grab it and resell it down the road.
Right. Yeah. So I had to adjust to that. We get a good mixture of people. Again, like a lot of people that buy from us are dealers. They buy to sell. But then we also have a lot of private collectors, and I've met a number of them, and they do share a love of the book. They love what it is they're collecting. So it's always a joy to talk to people like that. Because I'm like that, I don't have a lot of money, but I try to collect the nicest copies of books that I love. That's kind of my collection. I have, if I can afford them, so that gives me joy. And so it's nice to talk to other people in the business who get a joy out of it, beyond just the buying and selling.
Okay. Is there anything else in the whole process of what you do and how you do it that we should reference?
See, just to go through. So we get the books, in hand. Then we'll have like about 2 weeks that we spend on each sale cataloging for it as well, generally. So we just kind of go through the books, give them the descriptions, catalog them well. Then the books go to the photographer photographs them. We put the catalog together, and then you can still come in our physical store or physical office and preview the books a couple weeks before the sale. We'll have them all out on display, all tagged, and so you can come in and actually if you're in the area, you can look at the physical books before you bid on them. And so we set them all up, and yeah, so that's kind of the process. Every 2 weeks it goes.
And your pitch then for selling with you instead of doing what I did online, what's the pitch?
Well, since we've been around for a while, our catalogers are very experienced. We've done these books for years and years and years, and we're very experienced with describing them fairly, I believe.
That's from the buyer's perspective, but what about selling?
From you selling it. Well, again, like, that buyers have confidence in, like, if you sell your book to us, I think buyers are more confident to bid on it because they go, okay, well, I've been buying from PBA for 30 years. And, everything I've got from them is good. It's what they tell me it's going to be. And we have an audience, people go, oh, gosh, what's coming up on this PBA literature sale? Oh, they have another first edition of this, I'll look out for that. And I think it's just confidence, I think, is the main thing, is that they're not going to have issues if they buy something from us. They know it's going to be what we say it is. And if they have any issues with it, they can return it. They know that they can bid with confidence, I think, with us, because we love what we do and we've been doing it for a long time.
I think what you're selling too, Bill, is possibilities. You're selling or giving me a chance to make quite a bit more than I could, especially if I'm allowed to put my reserve up as high as I want to.
Exactly. Yeah. So there is that kind of mystery and possibility, as it is quite possible that you don't know how much it's going to go for, and it could do very well for you if all the right people are paying attention. With eBay or something like that, there's no hurry. But with a live auction, if you want that copy, you have to bid on it, or someone else is going to get it. Right then, there's something about that copy that you want. You're not going to have another chance if you don't bid on it, right now. So there's that aspect as well.
Well, that's very helpful, and thank you for taking me and the listeners through the process. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.